Chapter 493 Juzi, Seed. Wei Na tilted her head slightly and reached into her pockets, retrieved the small pouch, and gave it to Huo Yuao. This is the highest tier signal soul tool from our side. If you have this, you will never be attacked by friendly forces. Huo Yuao naturally understood the princess's intentions, and he didn't reject her gift as he took it and placed it in his own pocket. Wei Na stared at him deeply and said, Yuao, gratitude cannot be voiced for the great favors that you have given us. I will remember that. I need to hurry back so that I can log what I've seen today. Intelligence like that is far too precious. All right. Huo Yuao turned around and walked into his own courtyard after watching Wei Na leave. He contemplated his experiences in the air as he walked. Such powerful linked defensive soul tools. An attack like that would probably severely injure even a titled Douluo. Fortunately, I had imitation to conceal myself continuously so I didn't have to suffer continuous attacks. Otherwise, the consequences could have been disastrous. At the least, Princess Wei Na wouldn't have returned with her life. However, Huo Yuao was starting to feel that the beast god's reverse scale had its benefits, and increasingly so. At least, it provided protection for him in his most perilous moments. Otherwise, he would need quite some time to recover if he returned with severe injuries, even though his own body was quite tough. What can we do to find Teacher Xiaoya? The Sun Moon Empire's camp is like a metal plate. It's just too difficult. Huo Yuao returned to his room with those questions, and removed his outer shirt as he crossed his legs and meditated. Huo Yuao reported the results of his investigation to Elder Song and Yan Xiaoshi at daybreak. However, he didn't mention that Princess Wei Na went with him, and only told them that he discovered the linked defensive soul tool's attack and evaded it before he hurried back. Everyone's faces grew solemn when they heard Huo Yuao's description. Elder Song lowered her voice and said, Why don't I accompany you tonight? That attack is powerful, but I should have no problem protecting you. Huo Yuao thought for a moment and said, That's perfect. But, Elder Song, there is something else I want to do. Hey! Elder Song glanced at Huo Yuao confusedly. Huo Yuao's eyes sparkled. I want to see just how far the Sun Moon Empire's ground-based aerial surveillance soul tools can reach. We can only win our battles if we understand our enemies fully. Elder Song nodded. She believed that with her around, the Sun Moon Empire's linked defensive soul tools couldn't possibly hurt Huo Yuao no matter how powerful they were. Huo Yuao didn't obtain any accurate information, but he could guess that the Sun Moon Empire's advances in ground-based aerial surveillance soul tools likely occurred because of the multiple losses that he had caused them one after another. Their ground-based aerial surveillance soul tools were probably developed specifically for him. Furthermore, he could be sure that they were oscillation detectors. To be able to target oscillation detectors so high up in the sky was extremely astonishing, even if their waves were compressed. The Sun Moon Empire had an absolute advantage in their industrial capabilities. The Sun Moon Empire's radiant city, inside the royal palace, there was a silent, very large room. It was almost 200 square meters, while it was ornamented with the luxury and spectacle that only the royal family could have. A handsome youth was sitting next to a table and eating some delicious food, and he seemed like he was really enjoying himself. Dum, dum, dum. A soft knocking could be heard at the door. The youth's eyes immediately lit up as he swiftly stood up and glanced in the door's direction. Please come in. The door opened, and a beautiful lady dressed in palace clothes walked in. Her hair was tied into a bun above her head, and her luxurious golden dress made her seem even more noble and elegant. Her skin was fair and almost translucent, like water would come out if someone squeezed her skin. The door closed, and the room's atmosphere instantly became a lot more pleasant with such a gorgeous lady inside. Royal sister. The youth discreetly swallowed some saliva as he called out softly, Yes. The girl blushed a little, and she seemed shy and bashful as she gradually walked towards the table. Aren't you going to ask me to sit down? Oh. Please sit down. The expensively dressed youth spoke a little awkwardly. The girl gradually sat down as she lowered her head and said embarrassedly, I'm a little nervous. Royal brother, I'm a little nervous, too. Why don't you eat something first, sister? The youth stared at the girl's neck, which resembled that of an elegant swan, and the passion in his eyes was slowly sparked as even his voice began to tremble a little. He had been pining after this girl for a long time, but had never had the guts to do anything about it. Who knew that such a fantastic opportunity would befall him today? This was much more wonderful than a snack from the gods. This snack wasn't just a snack, it was also absolutely delicious. The girl gradually lifted her head as she bit down on her lower lip and said gently, Do you really dare to, royal brother? The youth was momentarily stunned before he snickered and said, Of course, I wouldn't normally dare to, but this is an order, and is something that my royal brother wants me to do. What else should I be afraid of? My brother has already shut me in for so many days to keep this secret, but I felt that everything was worth it no matter what price I had to pay when I saw you. You're so beautiful, royal sister. The girl smiled plainly and said, Since you know that he wants to keep this secret, aren't you afraid that once the thing is done, he will kill you for it? The youth laughed and said, How is that possible? We are cousins, and in the family hierarchy, I'm ranked among the first few who will be heir to the throne. Without the family's order, who dares to touch me? My brother hasn't been on the throne for too long, and even though he seems quite stable up there, if he dares to touch me, humph. The young girl heaved a faint sigh and said, You're thinking too much, royal brother, and you have underestimated your brother's methods. If he was so merciful, how could he become emperor? The youth's expression changed a little as he lowered his voice and said, What do you mean, royal sister? The young girl smiled and shook her head. I don't mean anything. I just want you to understand before you die. You. The youth suddenly stood up. Suddenly, he felt a wave of dizziness come over his head as he stared at the girl in front of him with an incredulous look in his eyes. The girl slowly stood up, and the faint but fragrant aroma on her body dampened as she made a grab at the youth. The youth's body immediately flew backwards and landed on the bed as he lost consciousness. The young girl's face, which originally had a faint smile on it, immediately turned cold. I'm sorry, royal brother. Blame your brother if you wish to blame someone. She held a sharp spike-shaped object in her hands as she spoke and walked towards the bed. 15 minutes later, the girl appeared inside a royal hall. It's done, your majesty. The girl spoke gently. The person sitting on the throne was none other than the Sun Moon Empire's emperor, Shu Tianran, while this luxuriously dressed girl was Juzi. Thank you, Juzi. Please stand up. Shu Tianran waved his hand at her with a smile on her face. However, one could see upon closer inspection that his smile contained a kind of awkwardness and bitterness that was hard to detect. Shu Tianran said, Go and prepare. You have to begin as soon as possible to maintain activity. The royal doctor is already prepared. Yes, your majesty. Juzi nodded gently as she turned to leave. She had just walked out of the hall when a dark shadow soundlessly appeared where she was before. He knelt down on one knee towards Shu Tianran and said, Prince Chanhe has passed away, and it's confirmed that the empress did it herself. His life was taken in one hit, his heart was pierced, and he died. All right, you may leave. Tell the royal doctor to see me after his inspection. Shu Tianran answered coldly, Yes. The dark shadow departed soundlessly as Shu Tianran gradually stood up and paced around the room with his prosthetic legs. His face was overcast. Prince Chanhe's blood was very pure, and even though he was lazy and didn't have a high cultivation rank, he was the most suitable target. Shu Tianran felt as if his heart had been cut by a knife. Even though he had always treated Juzi as one of his most important chess pieces, they had spent so many years together, so how could he not develop any feelings for her? However, he couldn't do what normal males could, and the royal family needed an heir. Thus, he had to devise such a devious plan. Juzi didn't need to have any physical contact with Prince Chanhe even if she wanted his seed. That could be accomplished with the Sun Moon Empire's technology. What was amusing was that Prince Chanhe thought he had taken the advantage. His death by Juzi's hands was also Shu Tianran's order. The reason why Shu Tianran chose to do this was simple. Juzi couldn't go back once she killed Prince Chanhe, because her life would be over if this piece of news was spread. At the same time, Prince Chanhe would become the future heir's true father if she was taking his seed. How could Shu Tianran allow such a person to live in the world? He wouldn't be afraid of Juzi telling her crown prince anything in the future if he died at her hands. At the same time, this was a measure to tie Juzi even closer to himself. Shu Tianran knew that his actions were very selfish and very cruel, and that was especially so for Juzi, who had always been loyal to him. However, he couldn't rest if he hadn't done all this. He was one of the most ambitious and ruthless characters of his time. He would never let anything escape his grasp. I'll compensate Juzi slowly in the future, but before that, Shu Tianran's eyes flashed coldly as his thoughts stopped there. It didn't take long before an elderly royal doctor walked in from outside and knelt down in front of Shu Tianran. How is it? Shu Tianran asked coldly. The royal physician deliberately lowered his voice and said, Your Majesty, the Empress is still perfect. The iciness on Shu Tianran's face mostly vanished after he heard his words. He felt as if an enormous burden had been lifted from his chest as he muttered under his breath. I'm sorry, Juzi. I was overthinking. I will treat you well as long as you don't betray me. He then said to the man kneeling on the floor, You may go, royal physician, and take care of the Empress. Make sure this goes well. Yes, the royal physician said respectfully. Rest assured, Your Majesty, as I have checked the Empress body many times. She is very healthy, and today is the most opportune time for her to become pregnant. I am more than 90% confident that I can help the Empress get pregnant. The royal physician was just speaking his mind honestly, but he was completely unaware that his last sentence sounded vaguely ambiguous, and Shu Tianran's eyes flickered murderously in response. Of course, from the beginning to the end, he was never going to let anybody who had anything to do with this live. Go. Once it's complete, I will reward you heavily. Thank you, Your Majesty. Juzi was also in a silent room. She was lying down on a bed, only covered by a clean white gown. Her eyes were very calm, but there was a dash of coldness deep within them. Shu Tianran, Shu Tianran, Shu Tianran. Juzi repeated that name continuously in her heart. Shu Tianran, I haven't misjudged you after all. I have been so loyal to you, but you treat me like that. Good, very good. It's a pity that no matter how intelligent you are clueless that I have already been prepared for all this. How could I bear a child for a stranger? Are you ready, Empress? You might feel some pain in a while. The royal physician's warm voice could be heard. All right, royal physician, you may begin. Juzi answered plainly. All right, then. Please give me the seed that you have prepared. The royal physician spoke respectfully. Juzi lifted her hand, and a small metal tube appeared in the center of her palm, and she slowly passed it to the physician. There was a tinge of tenderness on her facial expression at this moment, and the name Shu Tianran gradually disappeared from her mind, while another name took its place. High up in the night sky, 4,500 meters. This was an altitude of 4,500 meters. Hua Yuao was hovering silently in midair. He had already appeared once more above the Sun Moon Empire's army camp. He made sure he was as vigilant as he could be while he quietly observed the army camp beneath him. At the same time, he tried to sense whatever dangers could appear at any moment. 4,500 meters. I wonder if the Sun Moon Empire's ground-based aerial surveillance cell tools can still discover me. Hua Yuao squinted a little as he bided his time quietly. Several minutes quickly passed, but nothing was happening beneath him. The red light that he had encountered the previous night didn't appear. A faint smile gradually appeared at the corner of Hua Yuao's mouth. His eyes gazed at something faintly discernible in the distance, at a cloud that was drifting through the air. He maintained his original position, quietly awaiting something. Suddenly, a ball of black mist descended from the sky without warning and blanketed his position. Hua Yuao looked a little shocked as he immediately dispelled his imitation and revealed himself from the air. Tisk, tisk. I thought, which other powerful soul master could it be? But you're just a little kid. You're just a soul sage, and you dare to spy on the Sun Moon Empire's army camp? A hoarse voice that wasn't pleasing to the ear could be heard. Two black shadows suddenly appeared 50 meters away from Hua Yuao as the cloud that he was staring at disappeared. Large and disheveled black mist bore down on him in a circle from all directions and surrounded Hua Yuao, while the two black shadows stared at him vigorously. 2 yellow, 2 purple, and 5 black soul rings glowed on the person who was speaking. The other black shadow, who didn't make a sound, had an even stronger combination of soul rings. He had 1 yellow, 3 purple, and 5 black soul rings. They were both titled Douluo. Furthermore, the auras emanating from their bodies felt very sinister and evil. Evil soul masters. Hua Yuao exclaimed in surprise. Kid, don't you think it's a little too late for you to realize that? The man in black who was speaking before drifted towards Hua Yuao as he spoke. A bluish black light gradually grew larger behind him. This bluish black light shadow looked incredibly terrifying. In the beginning, it looked like a skull, but Hua Yuao could only see after it swelled that it was a pale human face. He couldn't even tell if this face was male or female, but there were countless disgusting bluish black maggots crawling all over it. The other man in black didn't make a sound from the beginning to the end. Light glowed from behind him as well, but this light was dark green and condensed into an enormous centipede with a single eye on its forehead that swayed gently in the air. Hua Yuao's face was completely pale. Wow, 2 evil titled Douluo. Evil titled Douluo were frightening individuals comparable to transcendent Douluo in the world of soul masters. Hua Yuao's body seemed to tremble from fright. It's too late to be afraid. The two of us wouldn't have had to make this trip if we didn't have to capture you alive. All right, kid, follow us down. Otherwise, I'll let you have a taste of my avenging spirit mask. I'll let it consume your spirit bit by bit, and that feeling. Tisk, tisk. Avenging spirit mask. This was the first time Hua Yuao had heard of a martial soul like that. It seemed like a mutated martial soul, and it was definitely an evil martial soul. 2 seniors. I'm just a scout responsible for collecting intelligence. Why do you have to cause trouble for me? Hua Yuao forced a laugh as he spoke. Ha ha ha. Kid, you don't have to insult us with words. Are you going to let us capture you without resisting, or do we have to make a move on you? Hua Yuao gritted his teeth and said, I can let you capture me, but can I know your titles? At least, I will know whose hands I've fallen into. The evil soul master who possessed the avenging spirit mask said, There's no harm in telling you. I am the masquerade Douluo, and this is the heavenly centipede Douluo. I didn't expect us to meet again. You're a spy after all. A familiar voice could be heard, and it came from the heavenly centipede Douluo, who hadn't spoken at all until this point. He suddenly lifted the black veil that was covering his face and revealed himself. Hua Yuao's expression changed a little when he saw him, and that was because he knew this evil soul master. He was the Dusk Water Alliance master, and he seemed to be the Holy Ghost Church's second elder. Hua Yuao had always been careful, and that was the reason why he would always change his appearance even when he was conducting aerial surveillance. However, the look that he had chosen to take on was the same as the identity he had used to participate in the Radiant City Elite Soul Engineering Tournament. Tang Wu. That was the reason why he was immediately recognized by Nangong Wan. We finally meet again. Alliance Master Nangong. Hua Yuao replied, but his expression seemed a lot calmer than before. Nangong Wan gritted his teeth when he saw Hua Yuao. Hua Yuao had helped the Dusk Water Alliance eventually win the championship during the Radiant City Elite Soul Engineering Tournament, and he took away all his prizes. Nangong Wan was prepared to take him in as his disciple back then, but because Hua Yuao's performance was far too outstanding, and especially because of his necromancy, even the Holy Ghost Church's vice leader paid attention to him. She believed that he was the Holy Ghost Church's holy son, who had yet to appear in this world, but who knew that Hua Yuao would immediately disappear after the competition, and take away countless rare metals, the Sun Moon Divine Needle, and a Class 9 stationary soul cannon shell, Annihilation Storm. The Sun Moon Divine Needle was still alright, as the Starsky Douluo, Yilin had taken that out. However, it wasn't easy for the Holy Ghost Church to obtain Annihilation Storm, and the original intention was for it to urge soul engineers to put effort into the competition, but Hua Yuao had vanished into thin air, in the mess of that enormous explosion, without a trace. In the aftermath of the great explosion, Nangong Wan had tried hard to find him, but how could he find Tang Wu? And now he had met Hua Yuao once more today, and Nangong Wan could tell from where he had appeared that he was a spy. Furthermore, he was the Heavenly Soul Empire's spy. How could he not be angry? The vice leader had berated him for not being able to find Hua Yuao. Yes, it's been a long time. Should I call you Tang Wu, or by another name? Nangong Wan said coldly. Hua Yuao smiled plainly and said, You can just call me Tang Wu. Of course, he wouldn't be so foolish as to reveal his identity. Furthermore, he wasn't just a soul engineer when he met Nangong Wan back then. He had also presented himself as a necromancer. All right, Tang Wu. I want to see how you can run away this time. Nangong Wan said coldly. Hua Yuao grinned and said, Run? Why would I run? The two of you are the ones who shouldn't run away later. Hey! The masquerade Douluo and the heavenly centipede Douluo were momentarily stunned as a green shadow bolted towards them like a ghost from far away. It took but a few blinks of the eye for her to arrive beside Hua Yuao. Wasn't that the green shadow Douluo, Elder Song? Hua Yuao had departed at the same time as Elder Song, but they didn't travel together. Hua Yuao was attracting the attention of the ground-based aerial surveillance soul tools from 4,500 meters up in the sky, while Elder Song watched him from 6,000 meters. 6,000 meters was the limit that humans could reach, and nobody but transcendent Douluo could reach that altitude. The Sun Moon Empire's surveillance soul tools couldn't possibly reach that height. However, Hua Yuao didn't expect 2 evil titled Douluo who wanted to capture him alive. This was an unexpected but pleasant surprise. If he could capture a titled Douluo, it would be a lot easier for him to discover Tang Yao's location. The heavenly centipede Douluo and the masquerade Douluo's expressions froze a little when Elder Song appeared, because they hadn't sensed this powerful individual individual's presence around them before this. Furthermore, Ella Song had arrived way too quickly. She was already in front of them when they had just seen her. They could tell from just her speed that she was undoubtedly a transcendent Douluo. Ella Song hovered calmly in midair. Her expression was very casual and plain, but that was enough to give those two evil soul masters immense pressure. Not being able to sense their opponent's aura was most frightening for individuals who were at least titled Douluo. The reason was because they saw with their own eyes that Ella Song had descended from above, and with her speed, she had to have been at an altitude of more than 5,500 meters. Yet, she could conceal her aura so nicely, so she was definitely a transcendent Douluo. An evil soul master's advantage wasn't that obvious anymore at a transcendent Douluo's level. Furthermore, evil soul masters themselves had difficulty becoming titled Douluo, while becoming a transcendent Douluo was even more challenging. The masquerade Douluo was at rank 91, while Nangong 1 was a little stronger at rank 92. Nangong 1's eyes squinted a little as intense silver light shone from them. The giant centipede projection behind him seemed to come alive as it twisted, while his 9 soul rings flickered faintly. The masquerade Douluo's sinister aura became increasingly dense, and that frightening human face continued forward as it seemed to envelop Huo Yuao and Ella Song. Ella Song was just standing there, yet she seemed incredibly casual, as she didn't even unleash her martial soul. Huo Yuao suddenly moved. He retreated instead of pushing forward, and disappeared behind Ella Song with a flash. Everyone began to move together, and the two evil soul masters immediately made their moves along with Huo Yuao. The enormous human face behind the masquerade Douluo suddenly pushed forward and loomed over Huo Yuao and Ella Song. Agonizing cries echoed throughout the skies, and they sounded extremely frightening. The masquerade Douluo's second, third, and fourth soul rings glowed one after another. The projection became so huge that the heavenly centipede Douluo was completely blocked behind it. Huo Yuao was already behind Ella Song, but he could still feel an intense force tugging at his soul, as if it were about to tear his spirit apart. Furthermore, he could feel threads of eerie chill bearing down on him from all directions. The corner of Huo Yuao's mouth curved into a cold smile. Are we fighting with spiritual power now? Huo Yuao's soul rings immediately covered his entire body, as he used imitation to display normal colors, while his third soul ring glowed and transformed into a white circle. Mass enfeeblement. Huo Yuao had already linked up with Ella Song by sharing his spiritual detection, and he stretched his spiritual detection over the entire area around them. Huo Yuao didn't just cover the battlefield, he even covered a large area around the battlefield. He would definitely discover any other enemies should they appear. This was the first time Huo Yuao was working together in battle with a soul master as powerful as Ella Song was. He felt a little nervous, but he was more excited, as battling with and against titled Douluo was an experience that was far too precious. Furthermore, he wasn't in any danger at all with an individual as powerful as Ella Song around. Mass enfeeblement's effects were extremely evident, as the human face that was bearing down on them became a little more illusory. Huo Yuao's eye of destiny suddenly opened at the same time. However, the evil soul masters couldn't see what he was doing because Ella Song was standing in front of him. The rose gold eye of destiny immediately became a cross between black and white, and it became so deep that it resembled the distant starry skies as the uncanny aura of destiny permeated the air. Huo Yuao's sixth soul ring suddenly flickered. The two evil soul masters couldn't feel what Huo Yuao was doing, but Ella Song's senses were very evident. She could feel a kind of radiance piercing her back when Huo Yuao's eye of destiny started to change color, and that strange undulation even made her feel a sense of danger. That wasn't soul power, nor was it spiritual power. It was an unknown force to Ella Song. Just as the two evil soul masters felt about her, uncertainties were the most frightening. The battle erupted in a split second. Huo Yuao's mass enfeeblement had just taken effect when the human face arrived before Ella Song. Ella Song raised her right hand and used it as a blade as she sliced it across the sky. A dark green shadow flashed and disappeared as the human face was immediately cut in two. But that wasn't all. The dim green shadow that didn't seem very strong at all immediately arrived in front of the masquerade Douluo. The masquerade Douluo felt his heart skip a beat. The light in front of him contorted a little as he swiftly retreated, and his body quivered in the next moment as the dark shadow vanished. However, there seemed to be some kind of liquid energy that dissipated in front of him. The enormous dark green centipede stretched across the heavens in this moment, and it blasted venomous dark green fog towards Ella Song. This venomous fog was very unique, and it appeared as countless tiny particles as it covered the sky. Ella Song pushed her palm forward, and her powerful soul power penetrated through the venomous fog, yet did nothing to stop it. Right at this moment, a dark beam fired soundlessly from Huo Yuao's eye of destiny and struck the masquerade Douluo, who was still retreating in the distance. It was nighttime, and the light high up in the sky was already dim. The beam's black colors were the same as that of the night sky, while it also didn't have any soul power or spiritual power undulations. Ella Song felt Huo Yuao's black beam most deeply when he fired it. She felt goosebumps break out over her body, and she felt astonished once more. The venomous fog wasn't dispelled, but that wasn't enough to stump someone as powerful as Ella Song was. Green light flashed as she took Huo Yuao several dozen meters away and escaped the venomous fog's area of effect. Ella Song was an agility type soul master after all. The masquerade Douluo shivered coldly when he was struck by that black beam. Something unknown happened, but an ominous feeling immediately coursed over his entire body. What's wrong with me? The masquerade Douluo was shocked, but his attacks didn't stop. He raised his hands as his fingers began to move like he was controlling something. Huo Yuao and Ella Song had shifted horizontally in an instant, but twisting shadows immediately began to tremble vigorously around their bodies. Hey! Ella Song's face changed a little, because she could clearly feel that these twisting shadows seemed to contain a very strange power that seemed to make her reactions and movements slow. She didn't just feel her movements slow, but she could even feel that her mind and thoughts were also slowing. That is, a control-type soul master. Is the masquerade Douluo actually a control-type soul master? There was no question that the heavenly centipede Douluo was an assault-type soul master, and an assault-type soul master cooperating with a control-type soul master was the best guarantee for unleashing their full potential. This wasn't the first time that Nangong 1 and the masquerade Douluo had worked together. Nangong 1 immediately launched his assault on the other side once the masquerade Douluo made his move. The centipede's shadow suddenly grew material, while Nangong 1's own body vanished. The giant centipede that was flickering with dark green colors immediately swelled, and its gigantic frame immediately crashed against Ella Song and Huo Yuao. It took a bit of breath before it grew to over 50 meters long, while its hundreds of pairs of legs bore down on Huo Yuao and Ella Song. Martial Soul True Body. A title Douluo's most powerful attack was when he transformed into his Martial Soul True Body and launched a direct attack. Not even the Beast God, Yitian, was an exception to this fact. Soul masters with beast souls had a similar style of battle to top-tier soul beasts once they became soul sages. Ella Song was slowed as Nangong 1 began his assault. The masquerade Douluo shone with light, but the human face from before didn't reappear. Instead, more illusory shadows revealed themselves. They were clearly maggots that were pale white in color, and they surrounded Ella Song and Huo Yuao as they seemed like they were forming a formation. Strange spiritual undulations emanated from each maggot, and interfered with Huo Yuao and Ella Song. Huo Yuao's eye of destiny glowed once more in this moment, as the air around him and Ella Song over several tens of square meters shook intensely. Those were soul power undulations, and those quakes came from his spirit and his soul. Spiritual blast. Soundless explosions detonated as the maggots that were radiating spiritual undulations immediately froze, and their restrictive effects suddenly ended. Ella Song's eyes immediately became clear as green light erupted from her body. She didn't bother with the giant centipede that was rushing towards her, and an eagle's call rang out as she transformed into an intense green beam and went straight for the masquerade Douluo. She was a rank 97 title Douluo, and her speed was just too frightening when she was using her full strength. Agility-type soul masters were known for their speed and attacking capabilities, while they were relatively weaker in defense. And Ella Song could be said to be one of the strongest agility-type soul masters in the world today. If anybody could see what she was doing, they would see that Ella Song almost immediately transformed into a green shadow godly eagle as she charged forward. This green shadow godly eagle wasn't very big. Its wingspan stretched to less than 4 meters. It was a lot smaller and less intimidating compared to that enormous centipede. But the eagle's most terrifying characteristic was the fact that nobody could see it clearly. Not even Huo Yuao could see her with his spirit eyes, and that was because she was simply too quick. She was so quick that she almost reached the speed that instant teleportation could reach. Huo Yuao could faintly see some after images flash across the air as Ella Song appeared behind the masquerade Douluo. Countless maggots immediately exploded and melted into goo as they dissipated in the air wherever she crossed. The masquerade Douluo's title was not because his martial soul was a mask. The masquerade Douluo's martial soul was a demonic maggot, and it was a strange martial soul that required consuming human souls to evolve. Furthermore, the masquerade Douluo was most fond of consuming the brains of all kinds of living creatures. His martial soul would improve with every instance of consumption. Thanks so much for watching this video. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Also leave a comment down below with suggestions on what novels to read.